Hi guys, welcome to my first ever YouTube video. As you saw in the intro, this video is going to be about how I made this cute little top from this shirt. And along with that, I'm going to answer the most frequently asked question by all. So do not miss anything and stay tuned till the end. I usually start by drawing inspiration from the internet, and lately these kind of tops have captured my eyes. After taking few inspirations, I started sketching out my design, and once I was satisfied with the picture in my head, I proceeded to make the patterns for the same. Most of you'll ask me how I make my patterns. Here's how I make them. Majority of the time I use this book called Pattern Making for Fashion Design by Helen Joseph Armstrong. It has patterns for almost all the basic designs and it's quite straightforward, so I didn't find it that hard to catch up on the materials given in the book. If you're someone who is serious about learning fashion designing and pattern making, I would highly suggest you all this book. I'll leave the Amazon link of this book in the description so you can go and check it out. This is called the Basic Bodice, and I made this by referring to this book as well. And this is the base for creating any pattern. For this particular design, I wanted a side dart, and for the back, I removed the waist dart and reduced the waist by 2 inches. I then proceeded to draft a Peter Pan collar. Later I did some math to see how much fabric I would require to make the ruffles. Moving on to the cutting, I started by removing the sleeves, the collar, cuffs and also the yoke. I placed the front bodice on the front panel of the shirt and I cut the pattern by adding 0.5 inches as seam allowance. Then I placed the back bodice on the fold of the back panel of the shirt and then cut that as well. And for the sleeves, I'm using the sleeves of the shirt as it is except for the length. I used the rest of the shirt sleeves to make the Peter Pan collar. I used both the sleeves because I wanted a double layered collar to give me that sturdiness. Now I'm using the leftover fabric of the shirt to make the ruffles. And now it's time to sew all these up. I get so many questions on how I learned all this and how I got into fashion and stuff. Although it's a long story, I want to keep it as short as possible here. I started sewing when I was 13 years old. My parents owned this manual sewing machine. So I used to play around, experiment, make crafty things and learn. But unfortunately, when it came to picking up my career or degree, I could not pursue fashion designing, even though that was something that I really wanted to do. Nevertheless, it remained as my passion, so I would teach myself how to make clothes by watching a lot of YouTube videos. As much as YouTube helped me, I gained a lot of knowledge through my own experiences, a lot of practice, sewing, making clothes almost every day. And that's what brought me to this stage, and I still have a lot to learn. I'll definitely share things in detail in future once I'm comfortable sharing them. I'm starting by sewing the darts and then giving them a good press. Then I'm attaching the shoulders. Once I'm done with that, I'm working on the collar. Making these tiny cuts on the curved edges to give the clean finish to the collar. This is how it looks once it's pressed nicely. Now I'm pinning the collar to the neckline of the bodice. And once again, I am making some cuts on the entire neckline to ease the tension and give it a clean finish. Moving on to the sleeves, I am first pinning the sleeves to the armhole of the bodice from both the ends, and when I am about to reach the center, I am taking this excess fabric to create small plaits. I'm going with this method because I don't want much volume for the sleeve. After I'm done finishing up the sleeves and attaching the front and the back borders together, moving on to make the front tie-ups. I picked up this purple crepe fabric that I already had and cut 6 strips, 3 each for the either sides. And these strips are 2.5 inches wide. I'm going to fold them and stitch and then flip them over. After pressing all of them, they look something like this. Now I'm going to attach them to the front opening. Once that's done, I'm moving on to the ruffles. This can be a tedious process and I usually get bored sometimes because it's just sewing a straight long stitches and then gathering them up. But they look really pretty once they're all done and attached to the garment, so I can't complain much. And to make this top more cuter, I'm going to add a gathered trim. I use the leftover fabrics for that. I cut 2 inches wide strips as such, and I'm going to connect them together and gather them up. And then attaching this on the ruffle here. This is me trying the top for the first time and I was so happy about how everything came together. And to wrap this up, I made some final finishing, pressed them, and that's pretty much how I made this top. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and share your thoughts and opinions in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video.